Welcome to another episode of the Erickson Brothers podcast, where we talk about the possible returns of life's investments and the questions that we have along the way. Um, this is the Erickson Brothers podcast. My name is Jeffrey Erickson. I'm coming to you with my older brother, Matthew, and coming to you on a crisp November Saturday morning. Matt, how's it going, bro? How you doing?
Good. It's been a while since we've done this. I feel like I've had to cancel on you a few times, but I'm glad we're here.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I know we got some busy schedules, and yeah, it's coordinating an hour-long meeting, and sometimes when you're doing that, we have to do some rescheduling. So um no problems at all, bro. But you having a good week so far? Everything looking good for the weekend? Yeah, give me a rundown.
Yeah, full week. Hit a run this morning. Got some family in town. So yeah, just enjoying another weekend. It's really nice out today, so I'm glad I was able to get out for a run. How you been?
I've been good. I've been good. My girlfriend Kayla is out here in San Diego. She officially moved out here. She's working as a nurse at a rehab hospital here in San Diego, and this was her first full week of working. So, been super busy. It's nice to have her kind of out here living life and being able to do some dinners and lunches and been able to hang out with her a lot. And our whole relationship really has been long distance ever since we started dating. So it's kind of nice to have a in-person relationship, which has been good.
Nice. So you like her or what? You realizing that yet or what?
Yeah, well, obviously we wouldn't have stayed together. We wouldn't have done it long distance if we didn't see some future, I guess is what I would say. But yeah, no, definitely someone I think I'll keep around for a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
If it's my
Sometimes you don't know.
if
Sometimes
it's,
you don't know until you share a few days in a row with them.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah, as of right now, all the green lights are on.
Okay. Got it. Got it. We like green lights, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, we have a lot of good stuff to go over today, and a lot of good stuff to cover. Again, I think one of the main purposes of this podcast is to record the smaller details of our life. Um, I think recording the details and the smaller details is what makes life special. Like it makes life worth remembering when you know the smaller details. So one of the benefits I see of this podcast is can be able to reflect on the intricacies of the life that we live, and as we grow as people, as our mindsets grow, as our income grows, we're going to be able to reflect on the thoughts we have now. So I'm excited to jump into today. I know you had some topics you want to talk about, so I'll kind of pass it over to you.
Yeah.
First topic.
Yeah. Well, just what you were mentioning earlier, the uh, just the intricacies of this podcast. I'm not a I'm not a Rogan guy, but I some a clip pulled up just randomly, and somebody was somebody was talking about Rogan and people with respect to his podcast, and the idea was like, oh, like what's your niche? What's your niche? Like, what are you going to talk about that's interesting on your podcast that people are going to listen to? And like, because you have to be different. In like anything in your life, you have to be different than everybody else. And the the whole idea he said was that the it Rogan's niche, like any other person's niche, is themselves. And the reason why Rogan got a good following is because he has all these different like facets of his facets of interest and facets of his life, and the combination of that makes him interesting. And so what this guy was saying was that the combinations of your life, the combinations of your experiences, nobody else shares that. Nobody else shares those experiences. So like that's where you can provide value. It's not going to be trying to be someone you're not or talk about something that you don't want to talk about. It's going to be the set of topics that you like and the set of experiences that you have that will set yourself apart.
Right.
So like for us personally, it's like interesting. Like we try to we at the moment we're trying to tackle a lot of different things, but we're all coming at it from this angle of we're going we're we're going about it simultaneously as we do the podcast, and we don't really have an idea what exactly this will look like in a few years or a few decades, or what we'll think of it. And we're coming from a place of like transparency and our lack of knowledge, and not a place of like telling anybody or preaching anybody, which I think is cool. We talk about something like our topics are not specific to us, but the way we go about it, I think is very interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Crush it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think
So
that kind of gives us a little bit more permission to like talk about more of like what makes us unique, talk about like how you're living in Manhattan and you're in banking and you also value fitness, and we talk about our faith and how I'm in San Diego and I'm trying to run this business and trying to get this off the ground, and we have our relationships, and I value my faith and I serve my church. So it's like we don't have to necessarily like try to fit this mold of a business podcast between brothers. No, we can just talk about who we are, and then whatever it ends up being, it ends up being.
yeah.
Actually, I like that. Thanks for kind of bringing that up. I think that's a good way to look at it.
So yeah, I did one thing that like in the spirit of transparency, like one thing when we're doing this podcast, it's like, is it really like worth it? Like what are we getting out of this? Like, is this like at the moment we don't have a lot of listeners, blah blah blah, whatever it is. It's like, do it. Like if I wasn't doing this, I'd be eating breakfast, and I haven't had breakfast yet. It's like 11:30. So like there are trade-offs, and so it's like how much are we really going to prioritize this, or so that like intrusive thoughts come into my mind, but like that's life. You gotta navigate intrusive thoughts, and you gotta navigate like you gotta have discernment with how you do things. So
And hopefully delaying breakfast 45 minutes isn't going to be too big of a intrusive thought for you for the rest of your weekend. But
it's true.
yeah, I'm glad we're able to knock this out. So yeah, kind of jumping right into it for today. Did you have a specific topic that you wanted to?
Yeah. So I'd say 2 weeks ago I went down this rabbit hole of my computer shut off, so now this there we go. My white screens. I should get a ring light. The what was I talking about?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, a couple weeks ago I went down this rabbit hole of just it was a YouTube, it was a like a finance LinkedIn rabbit hole that took me over to YouTube, and then it took me over to Stanford Harvard Business School YouTube. Not Harvard Business School, Stanford Business School. That was another rabbit hole. But Stanford Business School, there's this professor named Graham Weaver, and he's a founder of a private equity company that's out of San Francisco, and has built this private equity company from the ground up. Like he started at the age of 25 buying printers and copy machines, and now he's launched his 7th fund. And they raised $5 billion. So the scale's there. He also teaches at Stanford Business School. And one of the things he has this, his last lecture every semester is just a culmination of what they talked about. He teaches an entrepreneurship class and really how to get investors and raise capital and start a fund, and even from the inception of your idea to execution. So the title of his sermon or his lecture was living an asymmetric life and having asymmetric returns to your life, and how to do that. So start off, asymmetric returns for him are just, in one sense, it's aligning your person, your goals, your energy to where you can see very fruitful returns later in life that seem just preposterous or astronomical at the time. So for him right now, his private equity company, Alpine Investors, he's trying to build the largest private equity company in the world. Seems wild. He started at printing machines, copy machines. He went to Princeton and he was a rower, and he didn't even make the freshman rowing team, but he showed up every day, and his goal was to be the best rower in the country. And then by his senior year, he was an All-American rower. So he's just a high performing guy. Whatever he does in life, it seems like he just kills it. So his lecture was, the goal is to do that. So he had 3 things, and they're all summed up in a math equation. So one of them was do hard things, do your thing, and the third thing was do it for decades. So that for him, if you can do hard things that you enjoy for a very long time, that's how you start to see these very long returns. So what I really liked was this formula was just the compounding growth formula, 1 plus R to the N. And that N is the decades part of it, where you're staying at it. You're staying at your 1 plus R for a very long time, and you're trying to build off of previous 1 plus R's. And then the R itself is the hard thing and your thing. And within that R, you have your habits, your goals, your more short-term, medium-term plan of how to better yourself every single day. And that's how you get these these astronomical or asymmetric returns, just from thinking about it in the terms of okay, for him, every day he wakes up and writes down 3 goals, or he has 3 goals that he has, and he does 3 things each day that helps him get to those goals. So I've started doing that. I'm like, okay, if I want to be the most physically fit version of myself, where I'm challenging myself physically, in 40 years or in 20 years, I want to be physically fit and then financially wealthy. I think starting my own private equity fund would be incredible. I think that we can get into that later, why I want to do that. But anyway, for me, it's like, okay, if I want to be physically fit in 20 years, I should probably work out today. Okay, 1 goal, work out today. Okay, if I want to be leading a family with a wife and kids, then what should I do today in order to accomplish that goal? Well, I should probably read the Bible and better myself emotionally, spiritually. How can I become the person that how can I start step one of that? Because what we're talking about is step 1,000 or step 10,000, and we're on step 2 or 3. And then in terms of like the private equity side, like, okay, what can I do? It's like, well, I can do the job I currently have extremely well. I can treat the people that I come into contact with, whether it be at the bank or our clients or lawyers. I can just do my job well, treat others well, and then I can just try and read and learn as much information from whatever's getting published or whatever deals I'm on, whatever. So that's kind of how I've simplified my 1+R to the N, what I need to do every day in order to accomplish these goals. And obviously each day will be a little bit different, but like I think high level for me, that's working out every day, bettering myself emotionally, spiritually. The working out would be physically, and then in terms of professionally, just trying to absorb all that information, like continuing to read the publications that I read, continually reaching out to people and learning from them. So I talked a lot, but it was a 5-hour rabbit hole on YouTube of different videos and stuff like that, and it led me to take a lot of notes and then um, really like interpret all this information and then determine what it means for me. So that's what I have, and I'll stop there and give myself a chance to breathe and you to talk.
Okay. So just to recap, because I think this is fascinating. Compounding growth formula equals 1+R to the N. R
Yeah. So
equals
1+R is in like 1+R parentheses to the N.
okay. R equals the hard thing, but it's also your thing. So
Yeah.
that could be your habits and your goals, and it's just like
Right. It's like, yeah, it's your meditate, your small changes. Another thing that I've been really paying attention to recently is just making the play in front of me. Like, and which requires 3 things. Like, in order to make the play in front of me, I need to know what the play is in front of me that needs to be made, and then I need to put myself in a position to do that, and then I need to execute on it. So there's, but beyond that, it doesn't need to be that more complicated than just make the play in front of you. So that's it's been a long time we've had the podcast, so I've been like reading a lot on this, and
okay.
have been on a good like personal development binge.
So why help me understand the math side? Why isn't it just R to the N? Why is it 1+R? 1+R.
Because 1+R, that's like I mean, for like a stock return 8%, but it's really 1+8%.
Oh,
If a
because
stock
if you
returns
compound 0.8%,
8%,
make it smaller. Okay, got it.
right? Well, if its stock returns 8% every year for 5 years, then it would be 1.08 to the 5,
Yeah, okay, got it.
right? So that's what you're trying to do, is just
Yeah.
return like those small things like that are could be 1%, it could be 2%, it could be
Wow.
0.04%. Like, people are at different spots, but like if you can make that small change, like the small change, like R itself is very small, but where you see the asymmetric return is in the N, which is you do whatever you're doing for decades.
Wow. Wow, that's good. And for you, you think it boils down to 3 main things. You'd say working out,
Well, like I mean,
selling
well,
on your personal life, and
at,
then the
at
job.
the moment, yeah, like things that are valuable and will be valuable is physical fitness, like spiritual and emotional well-being. And I think for me right now, that's just taking care of myself and doing what's right, and then like serving others and inviting friends to church and going to Bible study, and um, just growing in spiritual maturity for myself. But
Mhm.
over time, that will grow to a wife, well, a girlfriend and a wife, and then kids. So, but like the play in front of me today for that specific aspect of my life is like, okay, like go to, like, I think the most obvious example for me right now, and that is on Wednesday, went to like a church event, and then the pastor was there, and he was just hanging out, drinking some water after by himself. And I went up to him and talked to him. I'd never talked to him before. And I was like, okay, like the play in front of me, like I should have done this a long time ago, was introduce myself to the pastor of this church that I've been going to. And like we recognize each other, obviously recognize him, but over time I could tell he's recognized me, but I was just like, I should definitely introduce myself to him. So we're getting coffee on Monday. And that's just like, it, on the surface, very insignificant, but I recognized that as the play in front of me and something that I think like wanting to be a part of that, wanting to be more a part of the church and wanting to honor um, this pastor's commitment to the church. And so I offered some words of encouragement and said just how much I liked going to his church and thought he was a great preacher. But um, that seemed like the play in front of me at the time. Now we're
Mhm.
getting coffee. And the play Monday morning will be get up, go to coffee with this guy, and then there will be another play in front of me whenever that leads. So that's
Yeah.
how I've been thinking about it.
Yeah. That's good. And out of do you think the hardest part of this like compounding growth formula, do you think people want results fast and they're not willing to do it for decades to see the big return? Do you think that's what it is?
I think the vision of what the one plus R to the N could lead to is not there.
They don't have clarity in where they're going.
Right.
Got it.
And I think this it it's people go into like I feel like I do this too. Like it's very easy to go into autopilot of just the day to day and not having that goal. Because people can always say like, oh, I should do this in a few years, or I should start doing this in January. But like the play in front of you is to do it today, do your thing, do hard things, do it for decades. So
Cool.
um,
There we go. That's the formula. Write it down. Um,
mhm.
no, I think that's good. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me, as you were talking about like meeting with your pastor, I met with my pastor last week because I moved to a new location, right? So I've been in San Diego like about a year and 3 months now, and about a month and a half ago, the lease ran out, and I've been in this new spot for about a month, a little over a month, and so it's about 45 minutes away from the church that I've been going to for the past year. And then, as I mentioned earlier, like my girlfriend moved out, and she's farther away from that church, and we've talked about like wanting to find a church where we can go to together, obviously, and kind of start growing ourselves spiritually in. And we've been exploring some other options. So I met with the pastor because I've gotten to know him pretty well, and I sat down with him. I told him that I'd moved, and I told him that we were looking at other churches. And one question I asked him, I was like, how should I go about, or I was like, my question was, how would you go about deciding if a church is right for you? Like, how would you go about discerning if a church is the place that you should call your home? And
Mhm.
he was kind of walking me through that, and he gave me some reflections of what he said. And I was 100% transparent because I was like, yeah, I'm looking at other churches. Like, I know obviously I go to your church right now and it's been great, but I'm looking at other churches. I was like, how do you determine if this is the right church for you when, like you were looking at churches? So before I share what his answer was, I'm going to ask you, and kind of switching gears into our second topic here. When you're looking at different churches to go to, how do you know that the church you're at is right for you, and or are you still trying to figure that out?
I think the number one thing is it Bible based? Like, are they taking God's word? Oh, my computer did the same thing again. Okay, so I'll keep moving then. Bible based. Do they hold teaching? Do they hold firm the teachings of the Bible more than anything else? Because I think you can get one thing that's I've been just keen of is like people are like, oh well, it's tradition, it's tradition, it's tradition. This is why we do it. It's tradition. It's like, well, I was like, okay, is it tradition because that's what the Bible says, or is it tradition because of some other reason, and you don't really have a good reason? So, one, Bible-based church. Two, I would say a congregation of multiple backgrounds of people, young people, young families, old people, different walks of life, socio-economically, racially, diversity in thought and diversity in experience, diversity in politically to an extent. I would say is a factor of a healthy church. If like not necessarily there's definitely going to be good and bad Christians on both sides of the aisle politically, but I think it's important to have people coming from both sides. So, and then the third thing is somewhere where you can serve and you can be a part of the community and grow with the community, and somewhere where you're going to commit to the vision and also over time like impact the vision and impact that vision that the church has. So those are my answers.
Cool. So Bible based, right? So like rooted in scripture, or that you can serve and impact the vision. Were those the two main ones? Was there a third I'm missing?
Third one would be a congregation of varying people, backgrounds, ages, professions.
Yeah. Cool. I like that. What he told me was, he goes, when you find the church, he's like, when deciding if the church is right for you, he said, you'll just know because you know because you know. And he goes, what does that mean? That's funny. Dad's calling me. I'll call Dad later. So what he meant by that is, he goes, in your spirit, you will know if it's the right church for you. Like, you'll be able, obviously, like if they're talking about Jesus and they're talking about the gospels, like that's like a given, like that's assumed. But like in your spirit, you'll know if you feel at home, if you feel like this is the church and the place that you're actually going to be able to see yourself doing. So I think both logically, right? You came from a very like logical perspective from it, which I think that's really good. He came from more of like the
no surprises there. Yeah.
So that's honestly like, I mean, I still haven't made that decision. I really like going to this church. It's called The House. I really enjoy it. There's great people there, great leadership. But I I'm attracted to other churches, and I've been going to a men's Bible study at another church in the mornings. Tuesday morning men's Bible study at another church, and that's something I've really enjoyed. And I'm still working with God and having Him trying to help me with that decision as well. So, yeah, important stuff though, you know.
Well, if the house is the one that's 45 minutes away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, about 45 minutes away. And again, I don't feel called to it as much as I did when I first came to San Diego, in full transparency. And there's other churches that interest me and that like I want to be able to learn more about, but like at the same time, I'm trying to discern like how do I make that decision?
Yeah. I have my only reservation with that would be that feelings come and go, and you don't necessarily want to be swayed by the feelings of the moment. And over time, the the attractiveness of a church, whatever that means, might go away.
Mm,
Like I don't think you should be deciding on a church based on the chairs and the music and the like the snacks that they have after the service. Like those things can all attract you, but those aren't legitimate reasons to be choosing a church. And I think like with if the church that you're currently going to is 40 for the house is 45 minutes away, you're not going to be able to serve in that church, and it's going to be tough to go to a Bible study on Tuesdays. It's going to be tough to go to a uh like a more of a like a community group or a
mhm.
dinner, be involved with the congregation. So um I think you did about what you are doing is the right way. Just the just being upfront. You didn't ghost anybody. Like you didn't just like walk away from the church. I think that's smart. Um, I think that it's great that you had a relationship a year and 3 months into going to this church, that you were able to feel comfortable and you felt like it was of value. And um, I I'm shocked that he didn't know of any churches, or he didn't give you any churches to go to. Maybe he did, but
He no, I mean, he didn't say like, oh, check out this church that's by you. He didn't say that, nor did I ask him what churches he would go to. He did say like he was like, yeah, like I want you to go to our church. He said
yeah,
he's like he was very upfront with that. He was like, yeah, I want you to go here. He's like,
you know,
he's like, I think you add to our service, and I think he's like, I like being around you, and I want you to go here. But he was like, obviously, I respect your decision, and like he wants
so
me.
why are you leaving?
Well, like as you mentioned, um, like going to a Tuesday morning Bible study is not it's not feasible, right? Nor do they have Tuesday morning Bible studies, um, and the events that they have at night. It's just like I just logistically, it's hard to make
Yeah,
work. Obviously, if the church is right, it's worth the drive, and I'm blessed that I even have the decision that I even have closer churches to me. Like, you know, some people don't even have a church that's in closer distance,
yeah,
you know, so definitely a third world problem. But it is something I would say that I'm kind of looking for an answer for, because I don't know what that answer is yet. Um,
uh
and I'll see what comes out the other side. Doing a lot of praying about it for sure.
huh, uh huh. The well, good. That's so you and Kayla are church hopping.
Yeah, we've explored like probably four churches. I think
Wow.
I think we're gonna do another church for the second time this upcoming Sunday, so tomorrow. Um, but yeah, trying to figure out what that church looks like for us, and we want to find a
Yeah,
place where we can consistently go and get plugged in and serve and all that.
yeah, yeah. The a lot when I was talking to the pastor on Wednesday, I was just mentioning how I really liked Central Church because I go to Central Presbyterian Church in New York City, and I just really like it because of it's the the building and the service and the congregation, the pastor, the structure of the service. It just there's just a certain like reverence about it. And just I really like just the respect that like you come in and like that you are about to worship God. Like this is not like just like it's not a casual thing. It's like this is you're going to worship the Lord. Like it shouldn't be just a like let's
Yeah.
do this whatever. Like I just I love just the like the respect that it holds. And and truly just like the reverence, and it's almost like holiness uh of what happens. So it's yeah, I've really liked this church, and I think that um in my younger years of being a high schooler or in college, when I saw a church like this, I would be like, oh, this is boring. Like there's no there's no loud music. I have to sit and stand. I'm reciting from different points in scripture. There's like call and response to it. Like
Interesting.
the service is long. Um, there's no trendy video to count down when the sermon starts. It's just, it's just like, it's just when you come to church, like there's hardly any distractions. It's just like you, the congregation, and the, and just worshiping, worshiping God. So I really like it. Um, and I've been checking out another church just because I like that one too. And um, right now, it just I have the freedom and the ability and the time to continue to worship on Sundays. So I'll go to that one from time to time. But the investment into the Central Church is like that's where I do my giving. That's where I'm in the Bible study, and I go to the events and eat the meals and volunteer. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I wonder if I will change if my church going experience will change as I get older. Because like our parents don't necessarily go to um, a church like that with like a call and response and like you're in altars and all of that. I would say it's kind of like in the middle, but
yeah,
it's very similar to the fact that like you go so you can grow yourself spiritually, and it's like an in-depth message, and it's like something that's like new for like a mature Christian. So it's like kind of
mhm,
like a higher level talk that the pastor gives. And I'm
yeah,
guessing probably
yeah,
at your church it's probably like a higher level spiritual conversation.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
I walk out every single week. I'm like, whoa.
Right. And yeah, you even mentioned
Yeah,
some stuff in our family group chat too about what you learned this upcoming week. But the church I go to is like one of the churches that's like keep it basic, right? Talk about stuff that's understandable for someone
yeah,
that's exploring their faith, and it's kind of like getting new believers introduced into the word. So definitely two different ways to go about running a church and growing the kingdom of God. So
yeah, yeah. I would I would say that just in to further like praise like the church that I've been going to. Uh, like I think like this guy's sermons, Jason's sermons are they have that range to where they can hit the non-believer and they can hit the believer who's been going to church for 70 years. So
cool.
it's definitely a challenge, but I think he does it really well. Uh, So yeah, and like he definitely hit some crazy, some like very like present day topics. Like this was actually funny. He said so like his wife will tell, he has 4 kids, so his wife will tell his kids um what the sermon will be about, and like if it's controversial or if it's a little bit more like on edge or pushing the boundary, his older kids will intentionally not sit in the front row of the service, and they'll sit in the back, or they'll sit like on the pew on the end, or like on the side. And so he was laughing about that because like he's been preaching about like homosexuality and transgenderism, and like and all
Yeah. Wow.
bringing bringing it back to the just marriage, like and like what marriage really is and what it was designed for, and how the things of today that are more mainstream or more accepted are just um why they're wrong. So it's so when he's so I was joking around with him. I was like, okay, like I'll like be able to prepare myself next sermon based on how close your kids are. I'll be looking for them and seeing if they're in the front row or not. So he was laughing about that.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I like being able to have these kind of conversations too, because spirituality and finding the church and talking about how to run
Mhm.
the church. I always think that's fascinating. Like I have a lot of respect for pastors because it's hard to know. It's like if you talk about that in-depth conversation, you might lose some people that aren't as
Right.
versed in their faith, right? But if you're just constantly talking about like I don't know basic stuff, although like it's crucial and like foundation to Christianity, you might lose some people that are wanting that extra like
Yeah.
in-depth part. So it's like you might be losing people on either side. And I have a lot of respect for pastors
Yeah.
because I'm now just starting to realize like the dichotomy you have to balance with that.
Right. Well, I think as a pastor, the goal is not to the end goal is not to have people come back to your church. The end goal is to turn people to Jesus. And if
Yeah,
you're
well,
saying and if you're saying something that's like basic, then you might not be like stirring hearts, because as Christians we are called to look less like the world and more like Jesus. So if you're a pastor that's saying something that's more in tune with the world, like how as Christians we need to be different. So we need the sermons that we hear and the things that are talked about and our values need to be different than the world. Um, and that's a vital part of the Christian walk is sanctification and looking less like the world, looking more like Jesus. And one thing in my life I'm starting to realize more is that not only does that require a step towards Christ and a step towards that and leaning into that, is like I actually like am becoming more aware of the things I shouldn't be doing, um and just like becoming more aware of the the sins in my life, and being able to, okay, like I'm not going to participate in a conversation like that. I'm not going to go to that place. I'm not going to do that. So as much of it is as a push and push towards the good things, like there's an active withdrawal from the bad. So
yeah,
it's, for me it's just a constant prayer of just being aware of what that is and like navigating life. And in New York City it's definitely difficult, but like we're challenged as believers and as Christians, to be in these difficult places and be a light. So that's that's my final thought.
wow, that's good. That's good. And I think we kind of covered a lot today and kind of went on hit some topics with some depth here. So um yeah, that's awesome. Kind of finishing up our pod for today. Did you have any closing thoughts or any recent remarks on your views in regards to your investing? I know we did talk about that compounded growth formula. I think that relates a lot to
Yeah,
investing, and I think that was a really good insight. Did you have any closing thoughts
yeah.
on either how you're investing your time or your money?
I think now that I'm a year and 11 days into my job, I
Oh,
think I'm starting to really get a hang of just like the operations, and the format and the structure of a lot of the things. And now that I'm not playing as much catch up, and I'm now able to provide more value in meetings and able to speak with confidence about uh, different things within work. And like my work is getting better, it's getting cleaner, it's taking less time. So just continually trying to be better, be better at that, and see where it goes. So yeah, just making the play in front of me, and that play gets better and better, and a little more difficult as I continue to grow. So what
yeah.
about you?
No, I think that's really good. Um, I think one thing that is kind of something I've been working on in regards to investing my time is really training people that are on my team, training them how to learn a skill set, right? Because if you're the only one that's working, even if like if you're in banking, if you're in the restaurant industry, if you're selling insurance and investments like myself, like if you're the only one working, then you're limited in what you can do because you're limited in the hours that you can put in. But being able to train somebody to do what it is that you can do, so you can kind of have more hours being put in, I think that
Yeah,
is something I'm now starting to kind of like harness in on, and um, starting to work on myself. So I'm investing my time into helping other people learn the skill set that I'm currently, I would say that I'm proficient at right now. So,
yeah. But
uh,
well, one of the things that Graham said, Graham Weaver, this private equity Stanford Business School professor, he said, if you are building the best, can you have B and C people on your team? No, you can't,
okay.
because the difference between hiring an A person and hiring a B person over the course of 10 years, 20 years is going to be maybe 200x. Um,
Wow.
so, like, the difference between A and B is huge. You can't be building the best with B's and C's, and the discerning, even the ability to discern an A from an A plus. How do you do that? And then for him, it's like you hire attributes over you hire attributes over experience. So they like to hire athletes. They like to hire just go getters, people who are persistent, people who love to win, and um, attributes over experience. Yep, big thing. Like you'll never regret hiring an A person over a B person. Pay them more, pay them better. Um, the results will be a lot better. So
Cool.
um, we'll see. Yeah,
Love it. No, I think that's important. And um, yeah, doing what I can to find as many A people as possible. So that's one of my
yeah.
goals. Sweet, bro. Well, anyway, go get some breakfast. Go refuel yourself so you can
Lunch now.
you can have a great rest of your weekend. I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Hopefully, we can run this back in a week to a week and a half. And I know I'll see you for Christmas. Worst case scenario, that's right around the corner, bro. So um, that'll be good. Nice chatting with you today, and we'll talk later.
All right, bye.
Peace.